Hi everyone! Today I'll try showing you how you can create a media frame template which scales automatically with your media by using expressions in After Effects. So the first step will be to have a new composition and upload the image. Rename your image layer 1. Now you click twice on the rectangle tool to have a rectangle shape layer and you duplicate it. We'll also need a text layer to have text below the image, which you may not need, but we'll save it for later. Now we're going to go to the shape layer's size properties, below the path, and click the stopwatch holding Alt to open the expression. Here we can write the size between brackets. The first number will be the image's x-axis and the second the y-axis. So I'll improvise here with 300 and 500, closing brackets. Now, my frame is 300 pixels large and 500 pixels high. So what we're going to do here, beginning with the x-axis, is pick whip the image layer and write dot width, comma. For the y-axis, we'll pick whip the image, but this time we'll write dot height, closing brackets. Now, our frame is exactly the size of our borders, which we'll see a little bit better if I adjust the stroke size. But here's the problem. If I scale the image, the frame doesn't scale with the image. So getting back to our size expression, for the x-axis, at the right end of what we've just wrote, we'll multiply with our image's x-axis scale properties via pick whip. Here's another problem. Since After Effects doesn't work with decimals, it's exactly 100 times what it's supposed to be. So getting back to our expression, what we'll do is divide the x-axis value by 100. So it looks normal again, and if we scale it, it scales properly. We're now going to do the y-axis size using the same principles, this time with the image's y scale divided by 100. Now our frame is scaling perfectly. That was the first part. Now let's make a customizable text layer below the image. Firstly, let's understand one thing. In After Effects jargon, the top left XY coordinate would be 0, 0, and the bottom left would be 1900, 1080. But since I'm working on the 4K comp, it's 3840, 2160. We'll start with the text layer's position and Alt-click the stopwatch. Open bracket, pick whip the image's X position, plus pick whip the image's dot width. Multiply by the image's X scale, divided by 100, and divided by 2. Here's why we divided by 2. We don't want the text to be a whole image width away. We want it to be half an image width away. So, by zooming backwards, we can see our text layer is correctly positioned on the x-axis, but we want it to be just below the image. So for the y-axis, we'll just copy everything before the comma and paste it after. We'll change our brackets 0 for 1 since in After Effects 0 means the x-axis and 1 the y-axis. And we'd also change the word width for height. Now, our text layer is at the bottom, but one problem remains. Our anchor point is all messed up. We don't want the anchor point at the bottom left of the text layer, but at the top right. So let's Alt-click our text layer's anchor point stopwatch and write R equals sourceRectAtTime, semicolon, enter, opening bracket, R.left+R.width, comma, R.top+R.height divided by 2, closing brackets. I misspelled left. Let's fix that. It is now at the left of our line, but we'll add a little bump. We're gonna do that by going to the Y value. At the right of everything, we'll write something between 55 and 60. Let's increase the text character size. Looks good to me. You can scale it and everything. So that was our second part. Now, we'll show our second shape layer, our text box. Let's go to the rectangles path, Alt-click the size stopwatch, pick whip our text layer, dot sourceRectAtTime, dot width, comma, pick whip our text layer, dot sourceRectAtTime, dot height, closing brackets. Let's also add a little bit of bump, about 80 pixels for the x-axis and 50 pixels for the y-axis. Let's now fix the anchor point, and I got a solution for that. Let's just copy our text layer's anchor point and paste it to our shape layer. Our text is now not centered in the box, but we'll subtract about 40 pixels on the x's position expression. Now, what we've subtracted from the text's position, we'll add it to the box. So let's go to the box layer. And after having pick with the text's transform position, we'll add exactly what we've subtracted from the text layer, 40 pixels. We're now done here. You can write everything you want, change the image with whatever media you want, and scale it all you want. As for myself, by using the same principles, I tried copying various styles from what I've seen on YouTube. First of all, the one I've just created in this video is heavily inspired by Lemino, although his box is at the top left and mine is at the bottom right. This more simplistic template from Donut Media can be achieved by downloading a vector file of a YouTube play button, change the colors in Illustrator, importing it to After Effects and playing around with .width and .height, and the anchor points of course. I also remembered a template created by Phil Edwards from Vox, emulating a Windows 10 UI style. That inspired me to make a Windows 98 UI style media template. I achieved that by vectorizing an image of the icons. I also added a little bit of the Signal plugin to achieve a somewhat retro look. I then also went out of my way to make an Apple Macintosh UI media template. It just looks a little bit funny to me because you can read media on a Macintosh from that period of time. I also customized the box of this video's template with a typewriter effect. It took me a lot of time, but I've eventually figured it out. Nevertheless, this was the basics and you can be really creative with it in order to create your own style. It's all about being yourself and you can do a lot with these expressions. Thanks a lot and have a good one.